Hi, I'm Mark Kelley, co-host of The Fifth Estate, and welcome to this Q&A about our most recent episode on the program, Pit Bulls Unleashed. Now, we asked for your comments about this program, and boy did we get an earful. On our Facebook page alone, we've received more than 11,000 comments and counting that have been coming in from both sides of this debate. And we knew that this was a polarizing debate, a hot button issue, but we really didn't anticipate this much reaction. So here's what we want to do. Try to answer some of the issues that came up time and time again through your comments and your questions.
Meet Dr. Michael Gillian. He's the director of plastic surgery at the Children's Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. He loves his dogs, but not all dogs.
In your professional opinion, do pit bulls and kids mix well?
No.
There was a lot of interest over the medical studies that we were referring to done by Dr. Michael Gillian, a pediatric surgeon in Arkansas. In fact, there were 2 studies that he has done. Now, why have we chosen these studies? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, these were the most recent studies that were done. Secondly, the most comprehensive studies that have been done. The Atlanta study, which was published in July 2016, this was, without doubt, the largest single institution study that's been done. That's why we want to include that one. As it has been peer-reviewed as well, we should mention, as well as the study is done in Arkansas, 740 injuries in total. That one has been submitted to the Southern Medical Journal, currently under peer review. But this should be said, and I think it's an important point to make about these studies from Dr. Gillian. They only confirm previous studies that have been done. In 2009, a study out of Philadelphia. 2011, a study that came out of the University of Texas Health Science Center. 2015, a study that came out of the University of California, all about dog bites. Now, what they conclude in general is that pit bull attacks have more severe injuries than dog bites from other breeds and a higher risk of death. And there is worldwide consensus among the literature that individuals under 18 are the most susceptible to these bite injuries. And the largest emergency department study to date found boys from 5 to 9 years old the most susceptible to these bite injuries.
But remember, it's like we said in the show itself, the people who support pit bulls say that dogs' bites are no more severe than other large breed bites. And they also say that pit bulls are often misidentified in these medical studies. That's why they point to studies that have been done by the National Canine Research Council, which should be mentioned, it is a subsidiary of a pro-pit bull organization called the Animal Farm Foundation.
Okay, here's another question that's come to us from Bernice in Whitby, Ontario. Bernice wants to know, is there a provincial or federal registry that keeps track of how many dog bites or attacks there are every year in Canada? If not, there should be, she says. And are hospitals obligated to report dog bites? Well, Bernice, good questions, but the answer is no. There is no central source or statistics on bites or injuries. Here in Ontario, where there has been a ban on pit bull type dogs since 2005, what the province does is it leaves it up to municipalities not only to enforce this ban, but to collect data. So they may or may not collect that data from municipality to municipality. So that's where you have some inconsistencies. Now, if a dog has bitten someone in one province in Canada, there's also no paper trail that if it enters another jurisdiction. So really starting to keep statistics and the movement on these dogs to find out the histories of these dogs and the background on them, that also becomes a little bit murky. And statistics from hospitals are also very difficult to get because often the breed of dog responsible for the bite is not included in the record because the hospitals are not obligated to make that notation. They don't consider themselves to be dog experts on that, so they don't enter that information. Now, it should be pointed out that even the Centers for Disease Control in the U.S. doesn't keep breed-specific bite statistics. They found that some of the information they were getting was unreliable. So right now, even this large U.S. institution only collects the overall number of reported dog bites in the U.S., but we can't break that down to breed-specific bites.
Ontario banned pit bull type dogs 12 years ago, which means any pit bulls here would have to be born before 2005 to be legal, and they need to be muzzled in public. Like this dog. The owner is obeying the law, but that doesn't mean she agrees with it.
Well, here's another question. This one comes to us from Dawn Landry, who asks, why do I see so many pit bulls on the street if there is a ban in Ontario? Who is enforcing the ban, and what provincial law covers the ban? Well, that's a good question, Dawn. I think we've all started noticing more pit bulls on pit bull type dogs on the streets of Toronto since we started working on this story. Well, let's answer this, pick this apart bit by bit. Now, the legislation that covers it, called the Dog Owners Liability Act, it was amended in 2005 to include this pit bull ban, or what's known as breed-specific legislation. However, it's up to municipalities, every individual municipality in the province of Ontario, to enforce this. Now, cities like Ottawa have basically said they will not actively enforce it. Here in Toronto, they said they will only respond to complaints. So this is a complaint-driven mechanism. So if you see someone walking down the street with what you believe is a pit bull and they don't have a muzzle, well, they're not dog enforcement officers that are going to seize that dog. They will only be acting on complaints. Typically, those complaints arrive after there's been a biting or an incident somewhere. Now, what makes the opponents of breed-specific legislation angry is they think that the law is so flawed because the word pit bull refers to a mixed breed of dog of unknown lineage. So at the end of the day, how can you really tell what is or isn't a pit bull? That also came from the Shields family of Ancaster, Ontario, who wanted to know, how do we get into this murky world? Well, if we go back to DOLA, this Dog Owners Liability Act, it says a pit bull is a pit bull terrier, a Staffordshire bull terrier, an American Staffordshire Terrier, an American Pit Bull Terrier, or a dog that has an appearance and physical characteristics substantially similar to any of those dogs. So at the end of the day, it's left up to the animal services officer to make the call. Is it or isn't it a pit bull?
His face was just gone. I mean, from here down was just mangled.
What kind of dog would attack a child?
A dog that's unstable. And there are dogs of any breed that are unstable. I think they are the most misunderstood breed of dog there is, and they're just dogs, they're not werewolves.
Another question that came up time and time again from you, our viewers, was the question of genetics. Are pit bulls genetically predisposed to attack? Well, the short answer is there is no consensus on this issue, no definitive study. Now, pit bull opponents will point to the fact that for generations these dogs were bred for blood sport. And that's why they have these powerful chests, the strong jaw, the incredible ability to withstand pain. So they believe that that is still within these dogs. However, pit bull supporters believe that that's untrue. They say that those characteristics have long since been bred out of the dog. The fact that there are so many mixed breeds of dogs, pit bull type dogs that are out there crossbred, that in fact there's no way to prove whether in fact they still have this sort of genetic components that they once had when they were purebred for blood sport. We do know this, though, that the dogs, especially in the US, are still being used and still being bred as fighting dogs or guard dogs. But whether that's still genetically a strong component of them, again, no consensus on that one.
In this alleyway, there were at one time probably 8 to 10 pit bulls being housed here. And now it looks like he's got additional dogs and puppies on the property, so I would imagine he's selling the puppies.
Donna Lockman is a pit bull lover who sees too many backyard breeders selling them as status dogs, guard dogs, or fighting dogs. She says many of these dogs will end up in the crowded shelter where she works.
And our last question now, this one comes from Tracy Lynn, who asks, what happens in Canada if a pit bull attacks or kills a person? Well, Tracy Lynn, luckily we don't have a whole lot of incidents of pit bulls killing people to draw on. But sadly, we do have the case in July 2016 when Christian Vadnet, Montreal woman, was attacked and killed by her neighbor's pit bull while she was alone in her backyard. Now, we should note here there was no specific punishment for the owner of that dog, a man by the name of Junior Franklin Frontal. There was no fine. There was no community service. There were no charges. Now, the police autopsy report did say it was a pit bull indeed that had killed Christian Vadnet, but the police had told the family that the Crown would have to prove that Frontal, the owner, was aware of the danger the dog posed and was negligent about it. And the Crown said that they just were unable to prove that. So the family is now launching a lawsuit against Junior Franklin Frontal. That seems to be their only ability, or their only ways that they feel that they can seek redress in this terrible, terrible incident that happened. These are just some of the questions that came to us of the 11,000 and counting comments that we've received from you. As I mentioned off the top, we knew when we embarked on this very, very passionate and provocative subject, there would be a lot of feedback from you. There would be a lot of questions, there'd be a lot of concerns from you. We've done our best to address all of them. We've done our best to be fair and balanced in our telling of this story. And we really wanted to get a conversation going. We think is an important one for people to be having all across Canada about the dogs and the best way of dealing with these dogs. If you haven't seen the episode yet, Pitbulls Unleashed, we encourage you to do so. Watch it on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, or on our own website. Once again, thanks so much for all the questions and comments. I'm Mark Kelley. Thanks for watching.